Oh, you may not have that for 6 months. Here he comes. See how they make it.
How are you?
Good, good, never been so good.
Never been so good.
No. Think about what I could have been this time last year where I could be taking chemo.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Today.
I'm one that I hope my taxes still
Oh, it won't make your taxes.
Yeah.
It'll be in this year. It won't be in next.
elected officials grouped together. So that's where we're gonna start, because Teresa wants to go first, and then Larry Sloan is wanting to present his budget. So Teresa's budget is a couple pages back. And it's 53400 Chancery Court.
What page is it on?
Well, this one is all marked, so this one's lumped together. 53400 is right here, that's Teresa's.
You lay that right there.
Yep. Time to call in.
Yeah.
Did you find it?
County Commission.
It is because there are
You're
situations.
gonna share.
Calling master to review fires in county.
If the census didn't change, why did the salary of the elected officials change?
Does that mean that
No,
Sarah?
no, it's tied to the population.
Oh, really?
I know it says make that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 5:01, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started.
Maybe I'm mistaken. I'm good, we go, guys,
Everybody ready? Teresa, is gonna present her budget, so.
If you have the memo, which is one sheet, it's fairly simple. I'm not asking for any thing extra in my department this year. The only thing I am asking for is a 5% raise for my employees. That is because their pay level, I don't believe, is equal to some of the other commensurate jobs, and they do a good job. They've been there. I have one employee that may be looking at retiring this year. She's been there 30 years. I had one to retire last year. That tells you how long and how dedicated the employees have been in the department. My other employee, I have one that's been there 6 years and one that's been there 13. So it's not like a huge turnaround in that office, but if you start looking at jobs at other places, you know, the pay scale, I'm sure, is not anywhere near what they're making right now. So I am asking you to please look at doing a 5% increase in their salaries this year. The only other item that's listed on my memo is the delinquent tax. That's not something that's actually through in my budget. It is a separate county line item, but that is for delinquent tax sales because we have to run the publications and notices in the paper. We have to do all the certified mailings and postage. And so that one I'm just got asked to stay the same as it has been in the previous years. Does anyone have any questions?
This is brings revenue in this part here. What's the amount of revenue this brings in?
The main revenue from my department are the delinquent taxes. That's a huge income. Thus far this year, for the fiscal year, we've brought in $532,000. That is the interest, penalty, court cost, and everything. $463,889 is the base amount. That we still have a few months left to go, and we'll probably bring in some significant money between now and the end of the fiscal year because we have just sent out the notices where the 2020 taxes were turned over to us, and we usually collect quite a bit those first few months based on people maybe having forgotten that they've not paid them, or new owners have come in and they're finding out that now they're hit with taxes they didn't know they had. The previous year, for 2020 to 2021, we brought in $813,626 in delinquent taxes.
So this is Department of Coffee County, as far as tax figure.
No, I mean, we bring in the delinquent tax revenue. Anyone else? I thank you for your time, and I do ask that you truly consider the 5% increase for the salaries this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Larry Sloan to present his budget, Larry. Gil's handing out copies now. Okay.
Good morning, or good evening.
So this is the corrected copy, I didn't correct it on top.
Chad, I want to give this to you, I come back to it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Show you what we've done this quarter. Everybody else has that in their packet. That's what we've done the first quarter this year. But you can see we've had a very busy year. These people in California moving in every day. I'm telling you what's the truth.
They got a lot of calls.
Yeah. Okay, I guess y'all have a copy of my budget. And I have tried to leave everything the same. I think we can get through this next year like that, except salaries. And I don't know if you've seen the second part of why I asked for these increases, but I think my staff is the hardest working staff in the building. And they're not getting paid like it. And I didn't know this till a few months ago, and I'm going to try to rectify it with your all's blessing. You can see what I've asked for on the increase, and I give up my part-time to help out. And there's a thing that was just passed in legislature this last week. They increased our title fees $3 for every title we print. So we printed $16,234 titles in the past year, which that's going to bring me in $48,702. And if y'all improve these salary increases, I can pay for it with that. This is earmarked for the clerk for use in title and registration. It doesn't go to the general fund. So I thought that would be a good way. Y'all won't have to dip into the general fund to do these salary increases if you see fit to give it, because it'll pay for itself. And actually we have some left over to maybe buy computer equipment, stuff like that. But I was pleased to see them do that. We haven't had an increase in several years. But these titles, we just keep going up every year, issuing more titles. And that's going to be a godsend to my office. And $3 extra it's going to count up to a lot of money. Everything else, other than the longevity was increased about $1,500–1,600. Of course, have no control over that unless I want to fire somebody. And Social Security, state retirement, employee and dependent insurance, life insurance, Medicare. There's a slight increase in all of those, but that's kind of built in, it's a reoccurring thing. But other than that, I'm going to try to leave my budget the same, except for the salary increases that I proposed. And I would like to say, there's another office that I compared with, and I'm still $150-something below what they are on average. So.
Is that per employee per year?
Sir?
Per employee?
Per employee, yeah. Mine is still $150-something under what the other office pays.
Are you able to have all your positions filled?
right now I'm too short. I've got one been out since December and one about 3 weeks. It's been rough. I'm even having to work. And now that's, you know, people can't believe it. They see me up there. One guy wanted to take my picture today. Oh, but it's been hard on all of us because, you know, I've got a lot to do in the back, and you have to, sometimes you just have to forget that and take care of the people.
Are you mailing a lot more? Is your postage gonna be okay?
Postage is okay. We worked that out with Miss Hicks. Rather than ask for more money, we're putting this money back. We get $5 for every plate, so the county's actually making 50 cents. And so we turn into Miss Levy each month what we've collected, and it's earmarked as postage. So, and she's got a postage machine, so it's worked out good. I thought I was going to have to ask you for a bunch of money in this budget, but the way we're doing it, you're all making 50 cents, and we're not making anything.
Are the kiosk is helping?
I'm very disappointed in the kiosk. I really am. If I had knew they were going to do this tags this year, I wouldn't have done it. I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, because you gotta go to the office and get a new tag.
Yeah, they can go, they can do it there and they'll get the renewal, but then we still have to mail it. It comes on my computer, just like a web renewal.
Yeah.
But they just not took off like I thought they would, and I don't know.
Maybe it just take a while for everybody.
Yeah, we're gonna, after we get through this year with these tags, we're gonna put on another push for them. I've got them in the People's Bank, and Chris said he's gonna come up with a few things, maybe have drawings, or, you know, everybody got a tag through the kiosk, it could be a drawing for something each month or whatever. We've not really worked it out yet, but I think we need something to get it jump-started, because I'm very disappointed. I done the web renewal several years ago, and it's been great. I mean, it's just been, I'm doing about 9% web renewals of all the renewals that we
Do you
do.
advertise your kiosk on your send-out letters?
Sorry?
Do you advertise the kiosk on the letters you send out for tag renewals?
I still didn't quite hear you.
Oh, you send out the letters for the tag renewals.
Oh, yeah.
Do you advertise the kiosk?
No,
letter?
those are sent out with the state. Yeah.
Just a little postcard now. isn't it?
Yeah, just little postcards now. A lot of people are throwing them away. You know, they think it's just junk mail.
That's what I.
But we can advertise it more, but I don't think it's cost effective right now because they're just not being used. And I'm very disappointed. I've done several things to improve that office since I've been there the last 29 years, but this is one I'm really disappointed in. I thought it would really, really take off. For some reason, it's not. But
They're not costing us, are they costing us a subscription or maintenance or?
no, we're supposed to be paying maintenance this year, but I've done told him, I said, you're going to have to eat that maintenance because we haven't done anything. And if I had knew that we were going to do tags, nobody knew this till about 2 months before they were started printing them. And even the BIS people didn't know it. They just decided all of a sudden, and now motor vehicle just going crazy trying to keep up with tags and stuff.
They had something out that you can't take a picture of or something.
Yeah,
I
but
saw that.
I read a little bit more about that, and the guy that brought this to their attention has got old equipment, and they said all he needed to do was update his equipment. So that's the last I've heard of it. They even got the rumor out that they was going to recall all the tags, and I knew that wasn't going to happen. That would be a logistical nightmare. But I think they got it worked out. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you got. But I hope you all do look at these salaries. And my people work hard. If I don't fight for them, nobody else is going to. And they do work hard. We have all worked hard this past year, especially with people out. It's been rough. And I'd like to keep them too. You know, everybody's paying more money. I mean, you look at the paper right now, and they're just begging for jobs and offering really more money than even with these increases. Of course, it won't be an office job like mine is, but still, sometimes you got to look at the money too, you know. So I've got good people, and I'd like to keep them. They're well trained, and that's the only way you're going to do it is keep up with the times. Anybody have any more questions?
Hey,
Looking at it, realistically, even though you've got the 39,000, when you do the math with the 48,000 fee increase and the $14,000 removed from part-time,
Mm-hmm.
when you do the math, it's not even close to the 39,000 that you really asked.
Right, no,
Because
it's
you
not,
You don't include the revenue side of that, do you?
right.
So it's not much at all when you look at that.
No, I can very well pay for the salaries. And that was a godsend that they done this. It really was. I knew it was in the hopper, but I didn't know if it was gonna go through or not, but it did. And in case y'all haven't heard, starting July the 1st, everybody's getting free tags.
From the state.
Sir,
From the
from the state. The state portion will be free. We're already getting calls on it. People's wanting to get their tags now. I said, well, if you get them now, you gotta pay $79. Even if you got a May tag and you wait till July to renew it, it's still gonna be. What'll happen, your May tag, we get it next year. It runs from July the 1st of this year through June the 30th of next year.
I'll let mine go dead till June 1st, and then renew them, I'll be all right.
No, we'll have to backdate done it. But,
That's 29, right?
sorry.
Is it 29 off fee, is that right?
Yes, well, $26.50. We get $2.50 issuance. So it'll be $26.50. And, it's costing the state $121 million. Is what it's costing them.
Let's have a good rainy day for
Yeah. Well, they said they're pretty well flush with funds over there, but 2 years from now, they'll be saying, no, we're going broke. We gotta do something. So I don't know.
Well, they can fix some roads.
But anyway, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna give us all free tags.
Green City.
Anybody got any more questions?
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank y'all.
We appreciate your office, Larry. We appreciate your office.
Well, I'll tell you, not bragging, but when the county shut down, you know who was working through a window? We bleed on over 3,900 people through that window. My theory's always been get the job done, no matter what it takes, and so we got it done. And I'm proud of my office. I'm proud of my staff. I really am. They do a great job. Oh, Lord, I tell you. I've said it before, the day she walks is the day I walk. I've said before, the day she walks, I'll be right behind her. There's too much work for one person anymore.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all. Hope you take that under consideration. See you next year, if I'm elected.
We thank you,
There might be
Larry.
some write-ins going
One guy
against
said he's gonna vote for me. I said, please do. I said, I've had people say that, but they may already know. I said, I need at least one vote. Thank y'all.
Out of Village,
That was for Joe Anderson. Joe's not here.
out of the elected officials, those are the only two people that wanted to present. So, if you don't mind, I can go over the other ones. We can start off with Marcia's. She's written a letter, and it's on top.
We got reappraisal next year.
Yes. So in her letter, she has requested an increase in her data processing, $4,700. And she has 2 temporary part-time people starting July the 1st. They're only gonna work 29.5 hours for 14 months. And she has listed the reappraisal job duties, who does the jobs, and in Exhibit A, a description of all the jobs listed. And then she has listed an outline of the increases.
It's pretty much a standard thing for her to do every,
Yes.
whatever, 5 years.
Yes. So, and she's also attached the 5-year reappraisal plan that was passed in 2018, where the county commission approved her part-time employees. So in her budgets, the first one that she has is the 51210, the Board of Equalization. And she does not have an increase. She's keeping that one the same. Her next budget is the 52300, the Property Assessor. She has requested a 5% increase for her current employees, and of course the benefits that go with it, and no other increases. And her 52310 reappraisal, she has a 5% for her employees listed, along with her 2 temporary part-time people. And she's increased $317 for the postage from the state. From my understanding, the state mails all her information out, and they send her an invoice that she has to pay. And they have gone up on that. And that's the only increases that she has.
Basically raises and necessary.
Right, yes.
How does it reappraise? Does that employee go back on?
Yes, after the 14 months, yes. Miss Marty Cook is here, so she will present her budget.
Sorry, I was upstairs in court. I've still got court going on.
Her budget is 53,100. Circuit Court.
I'm okay. I think everything's the same as it was last year, except I did request a 5% raise for all employees. So I wanted the new clerk, whoever it is, to have the same operating money that I had to operate on. So everything's the same.
Thank you for your years of service.
Thank you. This will be the last time I appear before you all, and y'all say, thank the Lord. It has been a pleasure and an honor to serve as long as I've served. And I've been blessed in so many ways. And I'm looking forward to retirement, but I'm also going to miss a lot of people because I've made lots of friends over the years. 48 years is a long time.
How many years?
48. I started when I was 12. Yeah, I was awful young. I started when I was 12.
Roger started to tell you that he was never late, how many days he was at work.
Yeah.
I can remember when Marty started, she was a young lady, and she came to Billy Joe Tatum's office to find out how to run the clerk's office.
Yeah, I was very blessed. Billy Joe came over and worked with us 2 weeks, and Norma Corn White, the clerk in McMinn County, came up and worked with us because we got in the office. I worked for Isaac Stevens for 12 years, and we got in the office like on a Saturday or a Sunday, and we had criminal court starting on a Tuesday. It was right after Labor Day, so it was an experience. A lot of things have changed, but I've been blessed. When you surround yourself with good people, they make you look good, you know. And all my employees have, so I've been very blessed in that regard. Okay.
On, employee dependent, it looks like it went up 40,000 last year, and it's going up another 19.
What is it?
Estimated,
That's the insurance.
Insurance.
so we kind of taking a hit all across the board from that.
Yeah, and I do it, when I do this budget, I pull what actuals are
Yeah.
based on,
Usage.
I think I pulled it in February. So whatever we paid out in February, I've been adding 2% to that. So.
Okay. Thank you all. Good luck. Thank you for your service. It's not been easy. Being a county commissioner is like being on the school board. It's kind of thankless. Thank you. I'm going back upstairs to court.
Okay, the next budget is Register of Deeds, 51600. Kim Bivens, she has asked for employees to receive a 5% raise. She had an employee retire, so her longevity decreased. And she had new lease agreements come on board this year, so her lease agreements and operating lease payments have both went up $2,000. And that's the only increases that she's had.
So what is her lease and maintenance? I guess one of them's copier, right?
One of them's copier fax, and the other one is her software that she has to have.
She's also got a plat.
Yes,
printer, too.
yes.
It prints plats.
Yeah, yeah, big old print.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more expensive than a regular copier.
Yes,
I guess she has to have the software for.
yes.
Pretty simple,
The next budget is Marna Hull County Trustee, 52400. She has requested a 5% raise for her employees, which of course your Social Security and Medicare will increase with that. And then she's had to increase her maintenance agreements, $3,500. She gets billed from the comptroller, the state of Tennessee comptroller. So that's went up. So she's had to increase that line. But she's not asking for any other increases. And she also had an employee to quit, so her longevity also went down to $800. And the last elected officials budget that I have is Mr. Thomas. In his 53310, the general sessions, he asked for a $700 increase in travel. He used to be able to do that, a certain conference by video, and he can no longer do that, so they're gonna have to go to that conference. And he increased office equipment by $1,000 for a new laptop. And of course, his employee dependent insurance, it went up some. And he has another budget, the 54240, that's attached to this for the juvenile services. Since you approved the 4 YSOs and already approved his other 2 employees to have a raise, he didn't ask for any additional raises for his employees for this year. The only thing that he asked for, if he doesn't spend the $15,000 for equipment that you approved, I have also added it to this budget. So if he spends it this fiscal year, he will not spend all that out of this year. Yes, that is part of that,
Just
yes.
throw up right here another quarter million.
With the 4 YSOs, yes. And next, there's another in your packet, there's also a group of budgets that are clipped together, and all those are Mayor Mitch Ingram's budgets that he will go over.
I just want to make one observation, and this is just information to you, doesn't matter to me one way or the other. But when Larry Sloan came back to the office and filed an open records request to see the salaries of the other employees in the offices up front, what he asked for was to bring his up equal to them. He did not put another 5% in there. He's just trying to equalize those. And so, I don't know if you wanna take that into consideration or not, and they're not my staff, but I feel like Larry, he overlooked that if we're trying to equalize salaries. So I wanted to tell you all that,
So his is just equaling out what they made this year.
what they make right now.
No.
And then if they ask 5%, 5%.
There's a
Thank you,
huge
Mr.
difference now, right?
If you put 5% on, let's see.
That's, 315, about another 16,000 dollars. We're good on the six, and that, here, that's our day, 2, 3, 315.
Don't get out again.
And Lee, you're pretty sure that he didn't go ahead and add the 5%?
No, I'm home.
No,
That's
because
like
it doesn't add up to
That's your girl.
3% or 5%, it's not a percentage.
I'm sorry, we had an in-depth conversation.
Just keep him busy.
And his concern was that his employees work the hours that they work and the extent that they work, and they weren't being paid equally to the other offices. And so he just raised it. In fact, he was in my office today, and I didn't bring it to his attention, because I thought that he might remember that and say something to you about it. But it's to bring them up equal. Comparable.
So if you add another 5%, it equals probably around $3,000 on what he's already asking.
All right, thank you. Okay, we've got a stack of these, so we'll try to move through them, and of course, if you've got any questions. And I will start out that I'm gonna be very consistent with the other elected officials, and I've done something this year that I've not done in 4 years. I've actually asked for a raise for the directors. Typically, if the directors wanna put a raise in for their employees, that goes in their budget. But this is the first year I've actually asked for a raise for the directors since we've been in office, and I've been consistent. And you'll see those on every budget with the other elected officials, so we've asked for 5% on that. We'll start with the county commission budget. You see that is the same as last year. Of course, that is this body's budget. There's some things in that budget like liability insurance, workers' comp, things that are just there. This budget is also what pays for some of your travel and some of your events that you go to. And remember, if you've not double checked with Lori about, I believe it's May 24th, a legislative conference coming up, that registration, either registration or reservations for the hotels, she can do that. And I know some of you already have got those. But county commission did stay the same.
One thing I'd like to ask.
Yes, sir.
I know a lot of people have said we gotta spend less in the county, and we're asking our employees to do more with less. I'd like the commission to take in consideration in good faith of waiving our pay. And, you know, if we're asking everybody to cut money, maybe we can cut ours.
Next budget year.
Huh?
Next budget.
You go along with that?
What, our pay, yeah.
Yeah, make it zero, or get paid per meeting, how about that?
I'm trying to think, though.
Can you actually do
I
that?
think the city code says you may have to have some compensation, even if it's per meeting.
We actually ran into that with
No, we don't want
a former commissioner that wanted to donate, and you have to actually receive something.
Something, yeah.
And I know, you all know that to get a raise, and I know we're not talking about raise, that has to be voted on in a county commission meeting, not in a budget workshop. And that may have to be done as well, but I don't know, I think there has to be some compensation.
I mean, I would be okay with 50 a meeting, at least cover our gas, or something like that.
Well, it's been working for a long time, I say leave it alone.
There you go.
Don't you, Richard?
Yeah, but I do wish people would show up to more meetings.
Well, I'm here today.
Not you.
You're preaching to the choir.
Did you tell on yourself? Did you tell on yourself? I'm just kidding. No, I think it had been some, sorry, don't get on a tangent by no means, but some observations that commissioners that may not show up to more than 1 or 2 meetings and still get paid for it. That has been brought up to me a couple of times.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you've been 33% of the meetings in a year, I mean, if you work that much as an employee, you'd be fired, so.
That might be another.
Pat him on the back and send him on.
But that was just my offer.
No, thank
No,
you.
I think we should leave it just like it is myself, because we got, it's been working good for the last few years. And I don't believe it.
Well, I understand.
What do you think?
I think, we're not asking for a raise, so it's a cut.
Yeah.
Basically,
That's
it's costing you all, gonna be costing you all more next year than it did this past year, so I think you're actually cutting it, but by not raising it.
I recall, I think it's been raised once in the last 14 years.
Last 24.
One time, I think.
Not
No, I don't think it's
14.
been raised for 24 years.
It's been longer than 14.
It's not been raised since I was on the commission, I know, so.
It's by resolution.
It's by resolution.
Right.
How long has it been, maybe you know?
Pardon me?
How long has it been since it's been?
I'm not sure. I've been here 11, and it was set within that. I've been here 11 years, but it's set by resolution, but I'd have to pull the resolution to find out.
I've been here 24, and I think it's the same.
And it's been a long time, I got that.
Yeah. I think we should just leave it like it is and move on to the next project.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah. What are the indirect costs?
As far as,
$2,000? It just says,
back on the county
Yeah.
commission. That is actually probably what we use as a flower fund,
okay,
yeah. When
Yes.
an elected official or elected official's parents die, like, for example, and they're great, like him and Marshall always call, hey, can we send flowers to, and that's the line item we take.
And we get money, I think we used some last time to buy some picnic tables, or a couple years ago at the elementary. Is that what?
We did, but we got it reimbursed with COVID money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did reimburse that. That's something, yeah, when the COVID first started, we did reimburse that. That seems like that was years ago, but you're right. All right, moving to the mayor's office itself, that is strictly salary increases from top to bottom. Unfortunately, mine and the mayor's position, along with the sheriff, along with other elected officials, have a state mandated raise, a 5% raise. That's a large majority of that increase, as long as the 5% increase of Lori and Tasha. And of course, that comes with benefit raises. But as far as office, other charges, things like that, there's no increase. 51400 county attorney, of course, no increase there. That line item, we've kept it under budget quite a bit the last couple of years, so we always have that in. We always have that built in just in case, because, you know, for example, if even if Mr. Brown has to have legal assistance, I mean, he has a state election commission attorney, but we have to be ready for just in case of anything. So we want to make sure that we leave that the same. Hopefully we never use it, but we have to leave that the same. Planning. When you look at planning, there is a couple of things, and it's mostly just for some office equipment, office supplies, just general mundane stuff that Miss Laura asked for. She did ask for a travel increase to a conference that she's not been able to go to in the past, but again, most of that is based on her salary.
I think we could
5%.
probably lower that board from 6,000, because we only meet half the time.
Oh, about the board itself,
Yeah.
the planning
I
commission.
mean, half the
Right,
people show up and
right.
we barely meet 6 times a year,
Yes,
so.
yes,
I mean, we
yes.
probably could lower that to 4
Okay.
and be safe, I would think, wouldn't you?
Right, and that's by call only, based on what
Yeah.
the request of the agenda is. And that is, you know, looking at that, she's, you know, it's been 6,000, and I would assume that is scheduled for at least one a month, but you're saying basically it's quarterly.
Yeah, do you know what we spend on that? Without a lot, it'd probably take a while.
Well, I mean, just estimate if you meant 6 times, that'd be 3,000, so
With a
two.
full board.
Yeah, so,
So,
well, and you're one member short right now anyway, if I'm,
we're probably.
I think you're one member short. so-
Most time we barely have a quorum.
Right. But that is something that could be reduced but I guess my question is, Chris, what if it was really, really busy and you had to meet every month?
Is that a paid board?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we have a couple, equalization board, planning, beer board is one that's paid.
Yeah, we have to do continued education in that board, and we have to do
Right.
what is that form you fill out?
Yeah, there is some professional development, some training, and some things like that. That is something to consider, but on the other hand, and that could be, you know, if that board did meet monthly, regularly, because a lot of those crossovers, as Chris well knows, is between city and county, and the
Yeah.
city handles the bulk of those.
And boy, the majority of it is
Yeah.
3rd district.
Right, right. Okay. Engineering, which is also IT. A couple of things on this one. The first thing, of course, obviously you got Dustin's increase. I will draw your attention to the second line, 120. About 3 months ago, maybe 2.5 months ago, Mr. Brown approached me about not only for the election, but adding that position back in for IT. And really, I mean, he was asking for it. And what we did, we went ahead and hired a part-time person, and Mr. Brown is paying that person, but they're a county IT part-time, and they are Monroe County resident. And he is asking if we could put that position back in the budget. And I tell you, because as Dustin will tell you, both of those guys, even Wayne from time to time, especially on early voting election day, are really, really busy. And so that's just for consideration at the request of Mr. Brown. And I'll be honest with you, I tend to agree that we need to consider that. We saved some money, we've salvaged some money the last couple of years. Dustin has managed, but obviously with the elections, and there's going to be elections, you know, ever so often now, so that is in there. Also, the other big ticket item in there, I'll draw your attention to 718. Dustin and Wayne, as we beg, borrow, and steal automobiles sometimes to get from place to place. I think it was last Thursday, last Friday, for a couple of days, we had some folks go on to conferences, so we were really, really lean. We're asking, and this would be along with the same program that Stacy presented last week. And what we're asking, if you'll consider at least a vehicle for Wayne and Dustin to split, you know, part-time. You know, we're kind of hodgepodging together. We're using the solid waste trucks. We're using all kinds of different things to do that with. So we're not asking that you purchase Wayne one and Dustin one. They get along well enough that they can share. So that's what we're asking, if you'll consider that. And to be honest with you, it's cheaper than paying mileage under today's rate over a period of time. So that's what you see, that increase of the 31,000 net. Now, the decrease, the large decrease is 333. We moved into a separate budget itself. So basically, that budget would be a $32,000 increase with the added position and cost sharing on a vehicle with GIS.
Is that something you would just buy, or is it gonna have to be the vehicle?
Well, what we'd like to do is use Jackie Jones and the whole, you know.
Well, I agree, keep it in.
That's what we'd like to do, and that's what Sweetwater PD uses. We'd like to use the program that Stacy, but if it needs to be bid, we will. But that's what we'd like to do, is keep it in-house and keep it, I mean, all of our vehicles, especially the Dodges, and I'm not getting into that discussion as far as the kind of patrol car, but just the fact of the repair and maintenance, not having to go to Maryville and Knoxville, is huge.
Yeah.
It's a day, just to take it, drop it off, et cetera, et cetera.
And I mean, the taxes stay in county. So, win-win, I think.
5170 is codes, and of course that's the other hat that Stacy wears, and that is just basically the 5% increase on that, along with his clerical staff. And some of his girls are paid out of codes, some of them paid out of solid waste, etc.
So they wear multiple hats.
Yeah, and that office is just because of the building permits, and like Larry said, the new people that are moving into the county, every office is experiencing unbelievable business right now.
Did they still have to handle solid waste, or is that just all department?
No, it's all,
I mean,
they do everything.
Septic.
Yeah, well, what we're doing on septic, we're not actually handling the money anymore. We can handle cash. The state now have a kiosk, just like what Larry was talking about. They have to go to the state website with a credit card and pay for the septic permits now.
Okay.
So the state didn't want us to even do that, but we still have a lot of clientele that are not technology literate, that still want to pay with $100 bills when they come in, and at least we can, like Tara and Heather, can walk them through the process of getting that permit. It's not an easy process. I've looked at it myself. It is not an easy process like the old paper
I mean, most people, I mean, I leave it up to my septic installer.
Exactly.
Let them do it.
And that's, you know, that would be the easiest thing to do, but we still have a lot of individuals that come in and try to,
They feel that they're getting cheated.
and it's too complicated. It's a state, it's too complicated.
I didn't even know you had to do it all.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even do a paper copy. All right, GIS, this is Wayne. The big ticket item there is the split on the automobile with Dustin, as we've seen in the last budget, and of course the 5%. He did have some licensing fees, and I don't know how licensing, I think we were talking about it on some of these other copy machine maintenance agreements. I guess some of those things went up when oil went up, it's like everything else, so. But that's all, the only increases. In fact, he paid around $13,000 today in some license renewal, Argus, some mapping systems, and that kind of stuff. Of course, that's in this current budget, so. But Wayne has a pretty, and of course, you know Wayne, he wears many, many hats too. He's mapping, he's GIS, he assists Chad on some things, and, huge asset.
He helps Dustin a lot too, don't leave that out.
No, he's in, like I said, wears a lot of hats, and that's something everybody brags on, and I probably don't brag enough. I try to in directors meeting. I tell you, I was taught a long time ago by a football coach. I was the fat kid, Chris, in high school, so I was a lineman, and I was taught to play every position. I played center, guard, and tackle because the coach said you don't ever know where you're going to have to go next, and that's kind of the way we operate. So that's the way Wayne and us, that's just kind of the way we do. You didn't know I weighed 270 in high school, did you?
I didn't know that.
Yep, sure did. Chad remembers. Then I got into politics and got skinny. All right, Brandon's budget is next. County building.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
I just noticed,
Okay.
uniforms, that's not a requirement, is it? Or is that just something?
No, well, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's to assist Chad, but
Okay.
that would be like an EMA
Okay.
uniform. I mean, and we can, if you would rather, we can put it in Chad's budget, and we'll get into Chad's in a second. But obviously, we had a little incident Friday with a chemical spill at an industry. Wayne was there every step of the way, and he's assisted on a lot of structure fires and car wrecks and things like that. So that's what that is. No, that's not a requirement for GIS, Richard.
Okay.
I think what reason put it in there, if you don't leave the street or highway, you gotta have high vis.
I've been through.
Yes. All right, Brandon's budget, county buildings. Brandon did increase some things this year. Of course, his staff, he does have a large staff as far as custodians and maintenance. And of course, with that, insurance increases, all that kind of stuff. He did increase contracted services a little bit. And that's some of these maintenance agreements that we have on different things. Generators, and we've got generator maintenance agreements all over the county. Now, probably one of the best things that we've done, I mean, not only the generator for the jail, but the towers, the health department, the election commission, and so on. And that's coming out of Brandon's budget, and that's a huge thing, because when a generator goes down, when the power goes off, it's bad news. So that is the increase there. But that's the first time I believe that he's actually had an increase. And of course, supplies, toiletries, chemicals, all those have went up, but he's tried to manage those within his budget.
So how is county buildings, the state of those? Are we getting those caught up?
And I'm glad you brought that up, because everybody has seen that's been through town. We've started the courthouse renovation. Not renovation, repair. I've got to be careful how I say that, because we don't want to get in trouble with the historic people. But yes, it's the last 2 years especially, we've made strides in improving things like overhead garage doors at the EMS stations, air conditioning units. every time that Brandon changes lights out, it's always putting LEDs in, and that saves. Anytime that he can do anything to reduce water flow, he does that. Our county buildings are probably better than what they've been in years and years.
Yeah, is he able to put like motion lights if you're not in there, light goes out? Or-
Well, that's what he's starting to do. Obviously, this building has it, but yeah, we're doing that in more of our other
School
buildings, yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Has,
Yeah, go ahead.
has Brandon been bad, cause there's a zero in for his increase?
Oh, well, no, I think Gail and I both missed that, but I'll take the blame for that, no.
That's okay, I just,
No,
I didn't see.
but no, he's probably worth a little bit of a raise too.
Gotcha.
But no, this is the first year that I've actually asked for a raise for him too. So, I mean, we've asked for Mark and Tim, and
Is it in this budget?
I mean, it actually is zero, so Gail, I don't know exactly what that number would be. It would be 5% of the 55,968.
So probably have to add a little bit more for social security and all that, whatever.
Yeah, so, yeah, it'll increase
279840.
27. Good catch, Rich.
Thanks.
Any other questions on maintenance? And we'll get to this building's maintenance in just a second, or
Now, is that electricity for all the county buildings there?
most except for this building. Most buildings except for this building, not schools.
I mean, we have, I know that school.
Well, if you count these little community centers and things like that, which sometimes we get
I
reimbursed
know we
by,
went through the list.
there's about, I think 22 total.
Yeah, I think the schools is about $1 million a year electricity they spend.
51900. That's a general administration. We've got the trustees commission. That is where we put patient mental evaluation in. And I will say that is where, let's see, it's all of Brandon's, it's mine, it's Tom McCosh for the airport animal control's gasoline comes from. And I did ask for a bump on that from 6,500 to 8,000. And I'm going to be no different than Steve Teague or Randy or Tommy. Our gas lines are running to the max right now. So that's the only big increase in that is gas, because that's those particular departments where they come out of.
You get us an electric car.
I like it. I like it. 51910, that is archives, preservation of records, and of course you know what Miss Jo does for us in the county, especially as a part-timer, and she has asked for a little bit of increase on some lease payments for some copy, because she does make a lot of copies down there, toner and that kind of stuff, and the rest of it is her increase on her 5%. And Joe is really, really good about getting archive grants to help offset a big portion of her budget. Okay. All right, EMA. Well, I left Brandon out and I cut Chad's salary $7,000. How's that, Richard?
That's good. Sorry, Dad.
Chad, do you want to share your budget while you're handy there?
I guess.
I mean, you do it.
Okay. So, you got your general increases for the insurance and all that. So what I've done on a few of the new lines, like the gas and tires, I split that out. Before it was just under, other vehicle stuff, so I had all my tires, oil change and gas all together. I split that out just so I could look, keep better watch on it, and that's what the other budgets are. But of course, fuel is increasing, so I had to put a little extra in there for that. The tires, I kind of put $1,000 in there, but probably won't even use that if we go with, we'll go with the new lease trucks, and that'll just be for emergency blowouts, if you have a puncture in a tire or whatever. Let's see here. travel, we're back to traveling to conferences again, you know, instead of online, so I increased it 500. And the repair service to vehicles, that's where I decreased it 1,000 and moved it out to a new line.
Chad, the 336,
Yeah.
and this goes back to the incident on Friday, the hazmat spill in our trailer. So
Yeah.
do you want to talk a little bit about why you want to
So-
increase that line?
That, we have a lot of hazmat equipment that's hadn't been kept up over the years. And just take for instance, air packs, the tanks have to be checked every 5 years, or you can't use them. They have to be hydro tested, the air packs need to be tested, make sure they're operational, so they work during an emergency. So that's a line I've been there just to keep, this equipment that we already got, just to keep it up to, usable standards where we can use it during an emergency.
So the motor vehicle, what's going on there?
Same thing that Stacy done, but trading mine in and getting the lease one.
So we're just leasing more 13.
Basically, we can turn these trucks back in, which Stacy, I'm sure told you, more than what we give for them and actually come out cheaper. And that's what we're looking at if we do that with Dustins and Waynes and just, I mean, we can actually make money on the trucks we've got.
So we wasn't able to, I mean, I know a year ago we went from 20 police cars to buying 5. And that was supposed to be cheaper, but now the leasing, you're telling me, I guess on the trucks, you get a higher trade-in.
Yeah. Well, and you get one every year. You take it back next year and get another.
Lease is probably a bad word.
Yeah, it's not exactly.
You purchase it, and then at the end of that year,
They're buying back.
yeah, and they give you any of them. Because we're purchasing at government price, you take it back to them, it's worth more than what they sold it to you for, to the common person.
Yeah, I mean, they can sell a used vehicle real high right
Yeah.
now. So are they got a contract saying we're gonna do this for X amount of years, or just a program they got going short term?
It's short term, and this is, we're not the only county that's doing, we had this conversation today with our auditor, state auditor, and that's something that they're gonna have to, she's well aware of it, and she's aware that other counties do it, but this is something, a trend that's going, but that would have to be a contract, I'm sure there'd have to be a contract in place where they just couldn't jerk the rug out from under us, and then, we're having to bid out 25 vehicles at one time.
Yeah.
I know Loudon, LUV does it, Loudon or City, I think, or Sweetwater, they're all already involved in it.
So Chad wears many hats as well.
He does, he does.
He helps Dustin.
He does. I mean, Chad does. We're tailbacked by committee a lot around here, so. 54610. All right, county coroner. Autopsies did go up, but I think that we're staying under budget. Those went up to $1,950 an autopsy now. And of course, last year we had to do a budget amendment to increase that, but we didn't increase it. And I'll be honest, we get more and more indigent, more and more bodies left that we're asked to help in. Joe can tell you that from a hospital perspective. Either Cockers or Byerly's call us at least once or twice a month to help take care of a body, and we call those unclaimed bodies. And the autopsies is not the only thing that comes out of that. I mean, most of the general public probably don't understand that this really happens, but I mean, there are several unclaimed bodies, aren't there, Joe?
Oh, yeah.
And we do, and both Byerly's and Cockers and Myers are great to work with on the county level, and we assist that either burial or cremation. They do a great job on that, but I'm gonna tell you, we get a lot of those requests,
We pay for the body bags as well.
Yes, we do, and that actually goes, it's kind of in the rescue squad donation, but we do pay for those body bags. All right.
We try to cremate most of the time.
Yes, and cremation is about $450, whereas on a burial, it's kind of a weird deal. We're only paying a max of $250, and it's actually a little more complicated that I do a letter and that kind of stuff. Of course, $250 won't touch a very basic burial, but most of the unclaimed bodies that we're doing cremations now. Even though they're a little more expensive.
You still taking them variable or cremating or leaving?
Well, Byerly's cremated,
Oh, does it?
yeah. And let's see, we've used Athens a time or two because that's where they chose as far as either the funeral home or whatever to do it. And we've had some that's not charged us a penny just because and it's a process. We have to have that body released. Dr. Ken has to release the body. The hospital has to release the body. The funeral home has to release the body because we definitely don't want to be came back on later with a family member that, that wasn't our wishes. So we have to be papered up anytime that we assist. And we want to help, but we want to make sure that, we're not liable for a huge mistake either. But it's sad. That's the sad part of what we do. 54,900. That's this building, the maintenance on this building, and it's one of Brandon's budgets. And what he has asked for, and I'm going to kind of prelude a little bit into Blaney's budget here in a second. Of course, the increase in the 5% for the custodians, but he is asking for one of his part-timers to be made full-time. The reason being is because we've not been able to fill one of our part-time positions, custodial positions at the visitor center. So we've been doing custodial work by committee too. They may clean this building this day and another building the next day. So that would just help the flow of everybody moving around. Now, even though that would be under this budget, they may help Blaine at the visitor center, or they may be at the airport or wherever. But he is just asking, he's not asking for a new position, just go from a part-time to a full-time.
But that will increase because you've got all the.
You got the benefits,
Right.
yes, which you would not have had the benefits in the past. Now, Belena's part-time custodial staff was in her budget. So this would kind of be, and we've actually filled in without anything, but it's, again, if a custodian's out sick, it's pretty lean. And we do get some inmate help here, but it's tremendous traffic that we're seeing in all of our buildings, especially like JPK, Larry's. It's amazing the amount, and a lot of our cleaning has got to be done at 6 o'clock in the morning. Of course, we run a Saturday shift here. Most people don't realize that, but Courtney works on Saturdays here, just to get courtrooms and everything ready for Monday morning. I told you 3 years ago when we first presented this budget, it was going to take a while to get a snapshot of what operating this building looked like, and we're getting better at it every year. And the good thing, a lot of these expense line items are coming down. Now, we still have, the ordinary inmate tearing up things that's got to be fixed and repaired, but for the most part, as far as electricity, sewer, water, the general thing, and I'll say this, Brandon and Albert work great together on this building. They work great together. I've got to give both of them kudos. And when Albert asks Brandon to do something, it's done. When Brandon asks Albert to help him out with something, it's done. The teamwork's been great there. So he's been able to cut some things in his budget because we've been a good manager of this to try to help get some more hours and some assistance.
Hey, just a thought, I guess maybe just thinking out loud, maybe for the future, I don't know if building this size and out in the open, some other facilities, possibility going a little more green with some things with the solar possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought.
Right, and there's some grants for those type things. And I'll be honest, in the new Biden infrastructure bill, there's a lot of money for those type things. Solar, wind, green spaces, outdoor classrooms, et cetera, more environmental friendly type things. And, you know, and I'll be honest, I didn't know, I was a little leery of this, but this whole apiary beehive thing has been a huge community thing. It's been good for that club, it's been good for the trustees and some of our residents here at the jail. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do, Libby, when somebody gets stung and goes into shock out there and we have to use it, you know, we're gonna have to have an EpiPen down there, but I mean, that has been a great, it's, you know, we've got some good PR out of that, Sheriff's got some PR out of it, so that's been one of those things that kind of goes along with that, and the more of that type of stuff we can incorporate, instead of just brick and mortar and asphalt all the time.
Would that fall through the sheriff or just, since it's the county building?
I think just maybe a combination, because, you know, we would want the sheriff to have a, you know, at the end of the day, this is his workplace, so.
Well,
I was just thinking about the coordination of getting started.
Right,
So where
right,
we start,
right.
do we apply for this, what's feasible for this type of facility to be in a certain area? But anyway, just a thought,
what percentage falls under Judge Thomas and
Right,
and
right,
Martin Cook's office?
Right, and so you've got all those folks to consider too, judges and the new clerk, or who that'll be, so, yeah, all that would need to be in consideration. All right, 55110, this is Teresa, the health department, and a lot of hers is state funding with a little county supplement, and the county portion of her supplement's about $57,000 typically on her budget, and it ranges 55 to 60, but there's been some, you know, when she gets a grant one year, it shows a decrease, so her big grant is coming through ARPA money. It's about $500,000, so when it comes later on, it'll come in one of these budgets, but most of her, very small county portion compared to some of the others. Animal shelter, the only thing, you know, just, you know, because of the agreement, there would be no increases in anything other than cost of living if the county commission so chose to increase that, but outside of those others, you know, they understand that even though that there is inflation, that was the agreement, that none of those other line items would increase. And I stuck to that, even though gas is higher and all those other things. And they understand that and accept that.
How much revenue do you think that department brings?
You know, they're averaging, Chris, just on adoptions right now, about $7,000 a month. Now, they're not paying their salaries, if that's what you're asking, but our revenue has really increased in the last couple of years over there.
So we're making about 88,000.
Yeah. And I will say, I began my day, and Jen, she's a rock star. That's been a great transition. Jen took a transport this weekend to New York. Well, the van broke down, of course. So I was at the animal shelter this morning at 7 o'clock, opening the doors and doing some paperwork, doing payroll for them. But she did get back this afternoon and everything and all that. So Christy on the dental clinic. Now there will be some increases, some supply increase. And I'm sure Joe will tell you too that, you know, we discussed this during the EMS. Medical supplies are going up exponentially. We were at a baseball game Friday night. She was telling me how much latex gloves had already gone up. You know, just blows my mind. But that is some of her increases is medical supplies and her office staff on the raises.
This is another revenue.
It is a revenue, and I tell you that has been a great partnership with the Justice Center and the work that they're doing over here with the inmates. That's really been a big thing. I think Christy was concerned a lot, like all of our revenue offices, and especially in the medical field during COVID, about the revenue, but she's bounced back. And now she's in schools again, which that's really, really, really big.
Do you know what that number is?
It's attached.
Oh, is it? I was looking,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've seen it. Oh, there.
Okay, our friends down in UT Extension downstairs, 57-100, they're a unique partnership with the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. I think we only have to pay 25% of theirs. I think UT pays 75, UT / the state pays 75%, we pay 25%. So $96,000 is the county side of the budget, and then UT pays the rest. But they've actually got a pretty good staff, and you well know what all the programs that they do between Greg, Jonathan, Rebecca, Holly, Morgan, so on and so forth, all the nutrition programs, and the state is pushing them to do more with less, and Greg's getting ready to go to 4-H camp this summer and all those type of things. So the county has a very small investment, whereas you go up the road in Blount County, it's right the opposite. The county's paying 75% and UT's only paying 25%. So it's a pretty good investment on our part, and we get a lot in return. Soil conservation. Roger's on that board down there, and of course it's another partnership between the state, and then you throw in a little more complicated scenario. You throw in the federal government, the USDA, and you have a three-way partnership on that, and the services that they have down there. And a lot of money, and I think Jason presented at a county commission meeting last fall maybe about the amount of grant that they get through that office. All right, tourism. Blaina has, I'm not going to say a complicated increase, but she wants to explain. I don't know if she thought I'd mess it up for you all or what, but Blaina, do you want to come and explain your budget? Especially, I know that there's one item that I think it's 302 that you want to talk a little bit about to the commissioners. So.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you guys letting me explain this. So, as you can tell, most of it up, so it is getting more difficult to secure items. So I'll first start with $499. That is our other supplies and materials, and that is the line that we purchase for the visitor center, so the gift shop. So that is also just at 5%, but we're seeing actually in our securing a product for the visitor center an 8% increase in inflation, and then we're also on top of that, our shipping and freight charges are now, they're charging 20 to 30% of the total invoices for shipping. So we're seeing a huge increase in our shipping. So if we could have it our way, clearly we would buy everything in the United States. But unfortunately, we can't secure all the items that we typically buy in the United States, although we have increased our local artisan side of our store to 30% of our merchandise. And then we were able to attend a conference a while back and secure some of just made in the USA items to replace some of these items, but we still do have a few that we do have to freight in. So that's that increase. And then the complicated increase that Mayor Ingram referred to is actually the 302 guide. And so you can see that there's a $10,000 increase on that line item. So I'm going to try to also explain this so that way everyone understands, and hopefully it's not too confusing. So prior to my arrival in this position, I know that they had previously done a co-op on this ad, but like the 2 years previous to my arriving, they had not. So what that meant is to get an ad inside the Tennessee Vacation Guide, it cost them right around $17,000 for that guide, and the county paid for that out of the tourism budget. So when I came in, I felt like that was way too expensive for a one-page ad, despite the distribution of that ad. So we looked in starting a co-op. And so we were successful in doing that last year, and we actually decreased it instead of doing a whole page to a 2/3 page. Of course, I have this on my phone if anyone cares to see what that ad looked like. But to save the county money, what I did was I secured partnerships throughout the community and allowed private businesses and tourism assets, if they wanted to buy into that ad, they had the opportunity to do so. And so by doing that, we were able to secure 5 partners on that page, and we invoiced those partners $2,160 a piece. So that means we paid $2,160 for a total cost of a 2/3 page ad of $12,960. However, because we were billed first, the county paid $12,960, and then when we invoiced our partners, that reimbursement didn't go back to tourism, it goes back to the general fund. So this increase isn't because I want an extra $10,000 to float around. What I would like to see is to be able to utilize that money I'm saving the county to actually leverage our advertising funds. So this would basically replace what is already going to be going into the general fund, but allowing me to kind of keep it, but it has to be built into my budget to be able to do that. Is that clear as mud?
That's pretty clear.
Okay.
It's coming back into the general.
Right.
You've got to have it.
Yes. So like this year, for example, it just came out of tourism, and despite the fact that these partners paid their invoices, I never received anything from it because it went to the general fund. I obviously could come to you guys by resolution and request those funds back, but instead of going that extra step, we wanted to go ahead and build this in to keep it less complicated and allow us to continue to do this co-op ad. So, any questions?
Of the 62 you have for supplies and materials, now that's stuff you sell, right?
Okay, hold on just a second. So the items we sell is $4.99. Other supplies and materials, yes.
So what's your revenue on that?
So to date, I know that we have already, you guys gave us right around $50,000 last year, and we've already turned back in over $80,000 to the trustee. Do you guys want to confirm, deny? Okay, no. Okay. So we do keep up with that, like how much we pay the trustee back, and I feel like it was right at $81,000 as of the 10th of this month that we paid back. So that clearly doesn't count the rest of the fiscal year. So we do make a really good profit margin on our visitor center. We do really well. So right now we're seeing an increase in our sales. It's staying around 30 to 50% on average every single month, higher than the year before. And that's, even the year before that, we stay consistently higher. So we've seen an increase in revenue across the board for our visitor center.
20% profit margin?
Well, higher actually. Mm-hmm. So we do not sell anything lower than a 30% profit margin at the visitor center. And some things are even marked up to 100%, depending on what they are. Any other questions?
I don't know if we don't calm down the motorcycles up there. It's getting crazy on the weekends. I just want to leave.
You're welcome for doing such a good job that I'm bringing so many people in.
I don't know if I am. It's on the road. I don't know.
All right,
It's
well.
getting crazy in it, Roger, on the
Got
weekends.
another one coming in May.
I just sit there on the back porch.
Yes.
And May, we're supposed to have a trout festival.
It'll be very busy.
You've got a motorcycle
May the 7th
thing too.
is the Trout Festival, and May 6th and 7th is the Blooms Bluegrass and Barbecue Festival in Sweetwater. Be a very busy weekend. Any other questions? All right, thank you guys.
Okay. 58120 is Industrial Development, ECD. We didn't change anything from it from last year. Left it the same. We've stayed under budget on mowing, rail maintenance, that sort of thing.
Mayor, whose memberships just belong to what, National Industrial Recruiters or Developers?
There's a portion of it comes to the East Tennessee Development District specifically for ECD. For that, and that's part of our grants. That's the only membership that we're keeping up is the Development District. Airport, the next one, 58220. Man, you should like to save $3 million this year, right? Now that was, of course, when a grant is not in the budget, and we finish that grant, it shows a decrease. For the most part, you're going to see the increase, of course, would be Tom's 5%, plus fuel costs. Now, we've all talked about gas and diesel in the ambulances and rock trucks. Now we're talking about jet fuel prices. So, but Tom feels that a $50,000 increase will cover that. And I'm going to tell you, it's not hurt the sales, because airplane fuel and jet fuel are two separate fuels, jet fuel being the most expensive. We have not lost any, and I'm talking about gallons. We not only do we measure price like you see in your quarterly reports, we measured in gallons, and it's actually increased instead of decreased. Price increased, so did the gallons increase. So, but we had, and of course, that's like Blana's. That money goes back into the general fund when he sells gas and that kind of thing.
So his budget actually increased other than the grant, how much? 3751.
Yeah. And most of that was fuel
Yeah,
and
gas
south.
50, so it's a little bit more than
Yeah, actually it's a little more.
No,
The fuel was 50,000.
About 65,000,
65 and
Yeah.
yeah. Because of the fuel.
Yeah, we'll make
But
every
he
penny of
makes-
that back.
Yeah, he makes
It
that
didn't come
back.
back. Good to me.
Oh, yeah.
All right, veteran service officer, Andy, of course, we know he's one of our unsung heroes in the county for what he does. And he operates on a shoestring budget, and we've asked for his 5% and just a few travels. And believe it or not, if you'll notice, he decreased travel because he actually did a conference last year or this spring that he doesn't have to do for another 3 years. So he took it out of his budget, that $250. So just basically cost of living adjustment. The next one, of course, that's the contribution to the individual communities. And I did ask for an increase in this year, and the total increase would have been $2,000. And as you well know, this is when, this is to, sponsor a ball team if they go to the state, or, things like that. And, we just don't give everyone this money, but especially if it's a major accomplishment and they come and request, we do ask for a request, not just a verbal, hey, can you give me a donation thing. This was actually, Chris, what we took the picnic table
Oh,
out of
okay,
that.
well.
This, and then it was actually District 3, and then we reinvested it back. So I did ask for that, and, we do some things out of that, and we do keep it in the communities. We don't mix and match. Now, the only thing that we mix and match on this is when we do Halloween in the city. We take $100 out of each one to do Halloween in the city. So
This is 911 contribution, that's separate.
I think that's the original, like your first night thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When April White came and presented, it's in this budget.
Oh, yeah, the
So
bottom.
that's in addition to the nonprofit we contribute, right?
I thought the 217 is what,
It is.
the 217 is the contribution.
It's in this budget.
It's in, for whatever reason, it's in this contribution instead of that 500.
It's just because of the state classification
Yes.
on it. The 197,000 is her 911 request, but then the hyper breach is in there too. That's the telephone notification.
Yes.
Okay.
If there are emergencies,
Fi-
on the hyper breach, it will dial you and tell you.
All right, 51600, this is some things that we just have to have in case of availability, military leave, and things like that, and we do have some employees for that. Okay, the last thing is this is a combination of Dustin, Chad, and Wayne all together, and we've tried to clean this up and actually show some improvement on this. This is where we put the radio budget into a separate thing where we could get a grasp on it. And you do see that there is almost $109,000 decrease this year, and that is because of when we had the construction of the jail. That was just a one-time investment, so that's not in the budget anymore. We don't have to worry about that from years to come. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate all the requests. I know that this is a tough year just based on what the economy is, but I don't know of any of the elected official or department head that's asked for anything that's out of bounds this year. I mean, I've sit here through most of them, and I'm just going to echo what they all said. I ask that you take care of our people, our employees. I think that's one of the good things, like Larry mentioned. There is very few turnover in most of our departments, and we want to keep them. And any help that we can get, we would appreciate it. So.
The first one that we'll go over is the personnel office. It's 51310. And people, I just asked for 3%, but I'll take 5. I've never known you to give over 3, so I thought, why push a good thing here? So if you give 5, then I'll take 5 for my people too. And that's all the increase that's in the personnel budget. And if you go into the accounting, it's 52,100. It has a 3% salary increase in it, and we had a $500 increase in the software, hardware maintenance, and that's our accounting software that we use to keep up with all these numbers. And that's the only increase in that one. I do have 2 openings in my department, and one of them is when Gail moved into the assistant director's position, we did not fill her position. And she's been doing both of those, and I want you all to know that. She's doing an excellent job. Pardon me? We don't know if we're going to fill it or not, and if we don't, it just goes back into fund balance. It's been, after Courtney left, while Gail has kept up with her schools, with the school's budget, and has done the other. She's very quietly goes about her business. You never know she's on the place. So no drama, very quiet. And then the other opening I have is it's a recent one, and it's for an HR specialist. And if you know anybody that can make Excel get up and dance across the floor, well, let me know, because that's what I'm looking for. And Donnie.
Is that commensurate with experience or non-experience?
Yes, you have to be able to. There probably will be a test involved, an Excel test involved. You have to be able to deal with the public. Pardon me?
I would pass it.
You would? You would not. Not many people can do that.
Ms. Olivia, I mean, my master's is in HR.
Haley is the HR manager, and this person is under Haley. And if I hire them in at what Donnie left making, that's $34,000 a year, and that's a low salary, people. I don't know that I'll get one. Pardon me?
You said that's what they make, $34 a year. I'll get on that.
So, if you have someone that, you know someone that's looking for a job that would qualify for that, well, I would be interested in talking to him.
Did he leave or just move
He
somewhere?
left. He left. Donnie had some personal problems, and so he decided to leave. And he'd been with us. He was one of the first people that I hired when I came here 10 years ago. And he did a good job for us. He had a master's in math. and he was really good at Excel and straightened out a problem that I had there when he came in, so he did an excellent job for us. But I am looking to replace that one, but we don't know about the other one or not.
And that job is posted.
It is posted, it's been advertised in the paper, it's on the webpage. It is in there. Do y'all have any questions about my budget? Okay, then I'm going to move on to the debt fund, 151. Gail has given you all lots of information there. And if you, on the front page is your fund balance. And if you see the fund balance is projected at 338%. That's much more than what we're required by the state of Tennessee to have in there. But as this debt has paid off, we've left it, putting the payments in there, and that will help if you ever decide to, when you decide to build schools, it will make that payment for you. That's what we did with the Justice Center. And that's what our public doesn't understand, is that we did not raise taxes to build the Justice Center. The money was there to make that payment. No, what we raised taxes for was it has a lot of staffing and that, yeah. But the brick and mortar and everything that's in this building, taxes were not raised for that. And our public does not understand that, and that's sad.
You know, the $100,000 a month that we pay them for 40 years.
It's actually about 38 now, when we had it redone last time, but it is. And that's what she's giving you here, and it's very easy to understand the way that she's done it. She's given you listings of it. The third page and the top is all the debts that we owed, and it's identified, you know, what it's for. And then the interest is on there. And then there's some fees down below that. So if you keep that with you and you're ever asked what the debt is for, you have it there in front of you.
What is the balance of the one that we could attack with this extra?
And can you pay them off early?
You can't, as a rule, pay them off early, no. There will be a couple that will roll around that can be callable in a couple of years, and we can do those like we've done several in the past 2 years. We can refinance them if the interest rate should drop and save interest on them. But most of these, the debt will not, the main part of the debt is here until 2038. And that is everything except the Justice Center.
So none of this debt, does it have to be put to a certain term, it can't be down, or is that government thing, or is that?
No, that's the way it was written originally,
That's the way it was
Chris.
funded back then,
And
you know?
Cumberland Securities, they're our financial advisor, and they're the ones, Joe Ayers and his son come down and talk to us. And when they're callable, if they can change that, they try to change it at that point in time. But there's not much that we could pay off. And then the real question comes in, would you want to pay it off when you're facing 2 schools and a gymnasium, basically 3 schools?
Yeah, so this ending fund balance of 16 million, is that interest bearing, or is it?
It is. Marna Hull takes,
General building.
Marna Hull takes care of all the interest on this, and she invests the money, and the interest comes out on the bank balances each month. And it does go back into that. Interest goes into the debt fund anyway, and that's what part of your fund balance is. Interest on county money goes into the debt fund. Gail has also given you this, and this is from Cumberland Securities, our financial advisor, and it has each one of these listings that she gave you has a piece of paper in here that you can look at it. And you can see when it's going to drop off, when it's going to pay off, when it's going to drop off.
So when we move that money into the general building fund, is that interest bearing as well, that fund?
Tell me what you're talking about.
What did we move, 3.5?
3.5, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when it's in there, it ought to be took out by resolution. But if it's in this one, it's the same way.
Yes, same way, yes. We operate by funds. We have balanced funds, you know, and you all know that. I don't need to tell you that. And the debt fund is 151. But the debt fund gets the interest on it. It goes in there to help make these debt payments. And each month, each of these funds are reconciled. And they're balanced. And it shows what goes in and out of those each month.
So back like when Richard was talking solar and him and me just kicking back, so that's something we probably could just about do with that fund there. Could roll it over to a building part, couldn't we?
As far as, are you talking about adding to that projects?
Yes. I mean, is that not something we can do? We'd have to move it.
Now, tell me again what you're asking? What are
We
you?
can't take money out of debt fund, put it in the general building, so it has to stay in there.
Yeah.
We can't pay nothing off early.
The way you would do that is with your tax levy. You would reduce the amount that was going into the debt fund by your tax levy and put it in another fund.
But we could reallocate it like to roads and solid waste, we really need it.
You can reallocate your pennies when you allocate your pennies.
You're talking about solar panels and
Well, out of
Whatever.
the schools, I looked at different programs years ago of companies like J-Tech or something coming in, and there was a trade-off, I think. They get so much return, the school gets free electric, and in 20 years, no, it's a solar program. And in 20 years, they would give them to the school. And I mean, if we could say, that's $1 million at the time we spent on electricity and looked at stuff like that, but I never got nowhere with it.
didn't Jared Brackett say there's grants available for such
Oh, yeah,
projects?
there's all kinds of energy saving grants out there for, you know, to be energy efficient and like what we talked about a second ago when you're talking about green space and environmental friendly stuff. So there's funding out there
That we
That
wouldn't
would be
have
the
to
way you'd
use?
want to go on it would be with a
Right.
grant instead
I
of
think maybe what
investing.
Chris is referring to, I guess when you say county buildings, are you talking about Brandon's budget is?
Well, I mean, yes, it could be used for their budgets as
Right.
well, and the schools had other programs as well. And
Mhm.
I was just looking at the biggest debt that's reoccurring,
Right,
thing.
right.
And I don't know whatever happened, you know, we did the train study, or my office gave them all the information for that, and I have never heard the end result of that.
I think that may have left with Ms. McClendon, but I'm not for sure.
No, they're still working on it.
Yeah, but it's still ongoing, and I think I did talk to Philip, and he said it was very involved in with the school, but he was still trying to wrap it.
Major
all around.
investment, I think, probably.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think there was some concerns of buying all them new units at once. They all go out at the same time in years down the road, so. He just felt like he didn't wanna waste his time, and didn't feel like the support was there, I guess you might say.
Sometimes it's more work and more money up front than what you realize when you go into that.
Yes, yeah, good in theory, but when you don't have things in place, it don't happen.
Well, that is everything. Everything has been presented to you all.
So do we come back next week and look at where we're all
I want to
at?
ask you all a question.
Okay.
Next Monday night is the eve of the election. Okay, and we had scheduled the 5th meeting, hoping that we would be through prior to that, because last year it was just finishing up real quick. We can reschedule that meeting to another day if you all can't be here, because we don't want to have a meeting and you not come, because that's going to be the real meat of the budget discussion. That's when you'll have to make your decisions on what you want to do. And it'll give you time to look over your material, time to call people, if you need to call some of these department heads, ask questions, talk to them.
Let's present it. Have you got numbers for us to look at, or is that something you would have the next meeting?
Well, what I gave you the other night with the fund balances at 3.5 and no raise is what I've got so far. So until you start making decisions, I can't really go
What do you
any
mean?
further than that.
You can calculate a lot here.
Yeah,
If there are just some minor corrections to make, the salary that was left out, we had to put it in and some things like that.
Roughly, what's the difference between 3% and 5% raise?
I think it's,
That's a good question.
Difference is 2%.
30%.
3% is $273,693, and a 5% raise is $457,042.
Maybe as far as the meeting, I'll be able to speak up on that. I think to be fair to you and your staff, to make sure you got everybody here and everybody's full attention, I think it could be postponed to the following Monday.
Okay.
I would too, I'm sorry.
We can do that, we'll just put it.
Right, and like I said, politics aside, everybody in here is involved, but to be fair to you, Gail, and your staff, and then plus I think everybody comes back with a fresh, clear mind.
Just like last week, everybody was waiting to get to competing, you know?
Yeah.
And that was what was on y'all's mind. You know,
What's our
everybody had
timeline?
that ahead of them. And so it's just not, it's not fair to you all, and it's really not fair to us, that Bill spent many hours.
Now, what's the timeline look like, of getting it in the paper and advertised to vote
I'll
on
do
it?
it tomorrow. I'll change that tomorrow.
So we're still on track for a June 30th even meeting in two weeks. And that's getting it county commission and in the paper.
And that's what we really want to do, because the contract, they keep contacting us if we're not in there by June 30th.
So to save arguments back and forth, should we just come in and everybody says, all right, this is what we think, or have a budget? And pull them together, or are we just gonna iron it out right here?
Argue every point.
That is the argument.
We're gonna read it out.
You know,
right
the
here.
law, you're not supposed to discuss this, you know, because of the sunshine law. But if everybody looks at your material and
Come back and say, all right,
come
this
back
is what I
with
think we
a
need to do.
decision on it, it'll be interesting to see how close everybody was on it.
In other words, everybody has a home.
You have homework. And don't forget how much money's been coming in the last 3 years, turned back in. It probably will be the same thing this year. People aren't spending, they just aren't spending.
And I appreciate the sheet that Gail gave. And I'm not asking, and I'm just using 101 for example. I'm not asking you to give everybody everything they ask for, but I believe, and I don't have it in front of me, that number with the 5% raise and fully requested was 1.5 million. And we turned in, and I say we, I'm talking about all elected officials, 1.3 million last year, and we've got a healthy fund balance.
We do have a healthy fund.
So, I think we've got some cushion to play with.
You're not gonna have to raise taxes.
No.
You're not
We're
gonna.
gonna have to raise taxes.
What is
I
that?
would raise taxes.
We're not gonna have to raise taxes.
No, they're gonna raise them when we do the reappraisal.
I'm not voting on them.
Now supposedly it's supposed to be close to evening out, you know, which is when you're $40.
Right on.
So, we're going to, instead of having this meeting next Monday, we're gonna have it a week from Monday. I'll change the ad in the newspaper tomorrow, I'll be in meeting. You all, when you're up at night and you can't sleep because of the election, I read your budget material and decide what you're gonna do with it. And let's come back but I thank you all for your time, because I know it takes away from your evenings. Thank you all for that.
So we signed it. Thank you.